Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Magda Kopaczewska. I'm Investor Relations Manager at LPP, and today I have the great pleasure to welcome you to our video conference dedicated to the COVID-19 outbreak and its impact on our business, operations and financial result. Before we start, let me introduce our CFO, Mr. Przemysław Lutkiewicz, who will comment on LPP's current actions and outlook. In the second part of our conference, we will come to the Q&A session. You can ask questions by chat during conference. Okay, that's our plan for today's conference. So now let me hand over the floor to the CFO, Przemysław Lutkiewicz.
Thank you, and good morning and good afternoon. It's really unusual conference because we are not talking about the results at the moment, but we will be talking about we'll give you the update of COVID-19 and its influence on our business. So, what we are doing, what is the current situation in the company. Let's start with the map of Europe, and as you perfectly know, majority of our stores across Europe are closed. Not only ours, but of all the competitors as well. So the offline business is completely locked down. From the map you can see that only the online business is present. So we can have sales only from the e-commerce business, and from the map you can read that with the green color we covered all the countries where we had the physical stores and we have online presence. With the blue color you can see only the countries where we have online presence. Also, in the Middle East, as you can see on the map, majority of the stores are closed. So at the moment, the e-commerce is the only way for us to reach the customers. Please look at the slide on the left-hand side. You can see the chart with two lines. Let's start with the green one at the bottom. So these are separate weeks of March and first week of April. And you can see the development of the sales, or in the case of the green line, it's rather the decrease in the sales of the physical stores. So as you can see here on the chart, minus 3% comparing to the last year in sales of physical stores in week 1. Then week 2, second week of March, minus 28%. Minus 83% in the third week of March, then minus 90 and minus 100 in the first week of April. One can ask, well, how is it possible to have minus 100 if some stores are still open? Well, the answer is that the sales in the existing store, in the open stores, is so low that we rounded it from 99.5% to minus 100. So in fact, we don't have any sales right now coming from the brick and mortar store. So we are focusing mostly on our e-commerce business. And again, please look at the upper chart, upper line, blue line, showing that in the first week of March, our sales was up by 24%, then 43, 60. And nowadays, in the first week of April, we could see the increase of sales by 150% in online channel. And in the middle of the chart, you can see the gray bars. They are showing the annual sales in each week separately. So as you can see, in the first week of April, almost 80% down in sales in our case. So at the beginning, when the stores started to close across Europe, across all the countries, we could see much more, let's say, many customers coming into our website. They were very interested in the offer, but in fact they were not buying. But nowadays we can see that the traffic is also converting to the sales, which is of course good for us and the company. So let's move further. What is our scenario for or when the stores will be open, we don't know. As the governments, they also don't know. But once the stores are opened, we see the increase in sales like that. So please look at the chart on the left-hand side. You can see the first month minus 100%. This is like start when let's see, this is the last month when the stores are fully closed. And then going forward, month +1, month +2, and so on, you can see that our scenario is saying in the first month of operations, after the stores are open, we will have minus 90% of sales comparing to the last year. So we believe that there'll be less, just few people at the beginning coming to the stores, and still online will be very important for us. So let's say month number 1, minus 90%, month number 2, minus 80, then goes minus 70, and so on and so on. And we come to month number 6 with minus 30% in total sales comparing to the last year, and we think it will continue like that for the next few months, like minus 30% of sales to the last year. Why is that? Why we think it will be so bad? In fact, because we know that some people will still afraid of going outside or going to the shopping malls. Some of people will still buy over internet, so this channel will also eat some of the traffic, and of course there is a problem. We think there will be a problem with unemployment. People may have not so much money to spend, and that's why our scenario is like that. But the good thing is that we are prepared for this really pessimistic scenario. We think that if it happens, we are still okay as a company. We can survive and we can continue our operations. So, on the right-hand side, you can read the blue color scenario. So we expect that since, unless the stores are open or they are operating till, let's say, month 4, month 5, we can still receive triple digits of increase in online sales. And when all the stores are open and more people start coming to the stores, we expect to have strong double digits growth in e-commerce business. Okay, so what we do as a company to go through these hard times, and what are our goals? So definitely maintaining a strong balance sheet and liquidity is number one for us. So we are working with our revenue, so we are trying to boost the e-commerce sales. We are working on the cost side, trying to reduce cost in the stores. Stores are giving us about 70% of total cost. And also we try to minimize the cost on the headquarters side. And in terms of cash outflows, of course, we are doing anything we can to minimize the outflows. So we will deal with lower orders. We are lowering our Capex spendings. And of course, we also expect not to pay dividend this year. Going through all these items, let's say the detailed action for each thing, definitely we like to see, and we are still seeing the triple-digit growth in e-commerce. We want this trend to continue, so we do promo actions. We do lots of additional campaigns just to increase the value of the single basket in e-commerce sales. Also, we are putting more money into the online marketing and positioning our brands. The second very important factor is to have very good logistics, open and running, since we can see lots of traffic coming into our website. So from the logistic perspective, we are trying to streamline the distribution in the logistic centers that are dedicated to the e-com, but also we are working to use the standard warehouses that we've been using in the past for the physical stores. We also try to rework the way how we operate in this logistic center, just to improve the sales and the operations for e-commerce. Next one is about the structure of our cost. As you know, our big operational leverage means that majority of our stores and majority of our headquarters are having the fixed costs. For last year, about 73% of all the costs were just fixed. So what we try to do right now is to rebuild, reshape the base of cost, going from fixed to variable. And let's look into left-hand side, cost of stores. You can see that majority still of rental agreements, the media or depreciation, these are the fixed costs. Also the basic salaries in our stores, these are the fixed cost. So we try to move towards the variable ones, like we try to make rental agreements more flexible, having the turnover-based rent, not the fixed rent. Also, we try to put more and more of the remuneration into the variable ones, linking into the sales levels. On the right-hand side, you can see the HQ costs. So definitely majority of the costs are related to the salaries, like purchasing, designing offices, back office, logistics also. Majority of these costs are really fixed. In terms of changing them into variable is very hard, but definitely the more e-com you have in our sales, the more operations is related to the online business. We are moving towards the variable cost base, having like cost paid for courier companies for delivery, or the, let's say, more flexible workforce in the warehouses also being paid by the number of boxes, number of parcels prepared for delivery. And what we do exactly in terms of each of these items. Let's start with the rental reductions. So for this year, we decided to change our plans of space growth. So initial plan for this year was to grow our space by 16%, but due to the crisis and the current situation, we decided to decrease the goal to only 10% of growth year over year. Still, some of the stores were open in the first half of the year. Some of these stores are still being built, like work in progress. So once the malls are opened, we have to come back to the stores and finish them. And we slowed down the new openings planned for the second half of this year. At the same time, we try to renegotiate the lease terms, lease contracts in existing shopping malls in all the countries where we have our operations. And we try to introduce the turnover rent as a standard for now and for the future. So we can share the success if the store is successful, but if the sales goes down, we would like to be on the safe side from the cost perspective. At the moment, I may say that looking from all the countries that we are operating in Europe, the Polish government gave us the biggest relief, because right now we have the rent-free period until the stores are closed. So it's a huge contribution to our P&L when we cannot operate within the physical stores, but we still have to have some cost. Going further, we are coming to the personnel cost. So again, depends on the country. We can see different kind of governmental help, but I may say that in majority of these countries, the help is really crucial and huge for the companies like ours. When the stores are fully closed, but people are still working, we have the employees in place, and we try to keep the employees with us for the necessary period until we are still and we are fully operational and open. So we have different kind of actions, or I would say in the beginning when the store were being closed across the region, at the beginning we started to send people to vacation, to use the holidays. Nowadays we are trying to use also the governmental help. So if the stores are not working, we have this demurrage or solidarity support from the government in case of Poland. Also, other countries are helping us in this a lot. So, in terms of Poland, since Poland is being like half of our business, we had to pay the salaries by 20%, and the remaining 80%, in half is covered by the government, the second half is covered by our company. In different countries, I can say it's differently. The majority or the biggest support is coming from UK, Czech Republic and Romania, when we can see that the government is helping up to 80% of total salaries for the people who are not working or who cannot work right now because the stores are locked down. Also, the other kind of actions that we had to introduce in these hard times is the reduction of remuneration across the board in all the salary levels in our headquarters. So we had the salary cut starting from 20 to even 35% of total for these hard times when the stores are closed. Also, any kind of bonuses based on sales is, of course, right now closed down. Going into logistics, the very important part of the business, you perfectly know that the fixed costs are related to our own or rented distribution centers across Europe. Variable costs are really related to mostly to the transportation, to deliveries of the goods to the stores and also to the e-commerce business. So right now we are focusing on e-commerce, as I mentioned, very much. It's very important for us to boost the sales and to support the growth, the fast growth in e-com sales with the very good logistics. So we try to minimize the part of the business of the logistics that is related to the physical stores. We try to move, we try to be more flexible. We try to move these people and the resources to help the e-com sales to send the boxes as soon as we can. And inventory, very important thing for us. Right now we have around 2 billion Polish zloty in our inventory of spring-summer collection. At the present, as you perfectly know, we can sell this only the e-commerce business, so internet is selling only. So what are our plans once we open the malls? Definitely everyone, and we also will be doing some promo actions just to sell the goods, but our idea is to sell the goods really in an effective way. So we will be also looking into the margin that we can achieve on these. On the second hand, we did a lot in closing some of the orders for the second half of this year. So autumn-winter collection is already reduced by 40%, and our idea is to move some of the spring collection to the autumn collection. So it will not be like selling everything what we can as quickly as possible. It will be like very, let's say, wisely way how we will approach to these. Even if it's necessary, some of the collection we may postpone and keep in the warehouse for the next spring-summer season. So from the working capital perspective, since the inventory is bigger and the liabilities are lower, definitely we cannot have such, let's say, efficient model, or our efficient model for working capital will not be effective this way, this year, because of the crisis, but definitely we should come to the normal level of working capital next year once the situation is back to normal. And the Capex. We cut the Capex almost by half this year. So from 1.1 billion Polish zlotys, as we try to do it, this was our initial plan at the beginning of this year. We cut it to 500 million Polish zlotys, cutting, I would say, in all the levels that we could. So the Capex for stores will be like 400 million Polish zlotys. HQ Capex is postponed for next year. Logistic Capex is minimized to 50 million Polish zlotys for this year. And the other investments like IT or e-com, we want to have more or less at the same level just to support the internet sales. So all these changes that we are planning right now on our Capex side is to really maintain the liquidity and save as much cash as we can. And we'll be coming back to the normal situation, I hope, next year. So the main message is that LPP is a good liquidity standing. We have still money on our account. We have still the credit lines open. We will pay the interest for the bonds scheduled for June this year according to the schedule. So we don't plan to issue any new shares, any new bonds. We try to use our bank facilities to finance our current operations and go through this hard period once the stores are open, running, and still we are waiting for this time to generate more cash to support our needs. Also, we decided as a management board to propose to the general meeting of shareholders this year not to pay the dividend because we want to be on the safe side. We want to keep as much cash as we can in our balance sheet. One may ask how the future will look like after the COVID crisis is over. Well, as you could see in the beginning, we believe that the comeback to the current situation or the normal levels will be quite hard. It will take much more time, a few months probably. But what we do expect after the pandemic is over, definitely we think that people will move towards more affordable brands, since there will be probably much more unemployment than it is today. People may have less money to spend, so we think that they'll be looking into the price. They'll be looking into more selective purchases. They'll be focused on the basic models, but also they'll be looking into, say, more sustainable collections of ecological nature, and they will look into the, let's say, quality of clothes. Probably also focus more than ever on the homeware, so something that you can wear when you are working from home. And on the right-hand side, you can see the column with the average price tag that we have in our brands. So we think that our brands are really well positioned for the future because the price ranges are really affordable, and this is the strategy that we will have for next months and years. Also, what is crucial here in these hard times, definitely more and more people will be buying online. So omnichannel strategy is still in force in our case. We try to use RFID solution, so the radio frequency identification of goods, to support our omnichannel development. We want to start delivering the goods straight from the stores to the nearest customer as soon as the stores are open and running. So we are just testing this solution, and we hope it will work very well for the next few years. Also, what is crucial in our case, we think that still we should develop our business, especially the let's say the less pricing formats, like Sinsay, for example. But because of the constraints that we are facing today, we are postponing or moving the future development into the next years. Trying to find out the best locations, and also trying to have the support from the landlords, like the fit-outs or incentives to go into this certain location. So the main goal for us is to prepare the company. We are doing that for the really conservative market scenario that I just showed you. We should react quickly to the expected situation or even unexpected ones. We should position our company as a, let's say, quick winner for the future once the stores are open. And again, we will try to be as safe as possible from the balance sheet perspective, and we think that we can develop really quickly once the crisis is over. The goal for us is also to go through these hard times with a little bit change the base of the cost, going more into variable cost. I think this is the business model for retail business in the future. And the last slide, the few key dates that are ahead of us. So we will publish the preliminary Q1 numbers in the 4th of May. Also, the annual report is being postponed till 21st of May this year. And in fact, we don't know how the conference will look like, the May conference. Will it be online or offline? We don't know yet. We'll see. We have to wait. Also, one remark here, quite important one, that we've been publishing some guidances about our financial, let's say, goals for this year. I must say that it's a pity, but according to the current situation, we must say that all the financial goals that we published in the recent conference are not up to date at the moment. And the new goals we can share with you once we meet in May. However, still doing any forecast in such circumstances when we don't know when the stores can operate fully, it's really hard to do, and all the predictions are very, very hard to do and to predict how we will act in the future. So this is all from our side. Thank you very much for your patience and for attention. And right now, I think we can go to Q&A session.
First question, request for schedule of opening LPP stores in Poland from the 0 day. 0 means the day when shopping centers will be restored. Does the group intended to immediately open all stores or some of them? If some of them, which ones? And what will be situation in other countries?
Okay, so the strategy is to open, of course, all the stores that we can open. We'll be doing it country by country, depends on the current state of situation, and depends how the governments will act in each country separately. So definitely we would like to open all the stores, because from our perspective, it does make sense to operate on the full scale or not to operate at all. The example from the countries where we are still operating, like Finland or Latvia, these stores are open and running, but the traffic is 90% down, 90. So it means for us that, in fact, operating in such circumstances is very hard, and from business perspective, probably does not make too much sense. So once the stores are open, we want to go with all the stores. We will not be picking anything, just go with full.
Second question, how many brick-and-mortar stores will operate in Poland and outside in the end of 2020? Yeah.
Well, it's tough to answer this question, because we don't know what will happen. But definitely, as of today, we are not planning to close the stores this year. We want to have the stores to being open to support the sales of the inventory that we have right now in the warehouses. So the plan for this year is to go with all the stores. So we will open as many as we can.
Okay. Well, next, what is the situation in Russia?
Well, in Russia, the stores are right now fully closed. It was let's say the lockdown was being made later than in other countries, but still the stores are closed. And from what we know right now is that stores may be open, but it depends on the region. So in each region of Russia, you can operate and open the stores according to the local governors. We hope that the first stores will be operating in May. We don't know yet, but hopefully after the stores are fully open, we are hoping that the traffic will be coming quite soon, because what we've seen also just before the closing in Russia, that the traffic was the best from all the other countries.
Okay. What decrease in margin do you assume in the first month of opening the stores? and what decrease in whole 2020. The assumption of decrease about 5 point is real.
Again, since we lost at the moment, we lost 2 full months of sale, and it means that from what we see right now, that we can also lost a 3rd month of sale. We will be definitely trying to sell as much as we can, but with a reasonable pricing, not to destroy our gross margin. It's hard to say right now how big the erosion in margin for the full year will be. I'm thinking about, something like 5 percentage points in total, but still we have to wait when the stores are open, to answer fully.
Okay. The retail industry postulates that total fees for landlords in shopping centers should be 8%. It is realistic to reach an agreement with landlords with a rent rate of 8% revenue?
Yes, I mean the Association of Polish Retailers would like to propose already the new solution or the new standard on the market, having the rent of moving the rent to turnover rent, and it should be like 8% of sales. So is it feasible or not? I hope it's feasible. This is the goal of the association, that also LPP is participating in this association, that we would like to have this 8% as a standard rate for all the players on the market. It looks quite fair. We know that there are already companies who can achieve this level of pricing, and as we mentioned during the presentation, we'll push and we'll talk to the landlords to have really variable cost, which is much more, let's say, flexible for the parties.
Okay. Could you please comment on revenue trends on your core markets in February?
Well, in February we could see, I would say, the same trends as we could notice in the last months of 2019. So still the strongest markets were the eastern ones, Ukraine, Russia and Romania. Also, these are 3 markets very promising for us. This was also the trend in February. The sales of the new collection started very nicely. We were hoping for a really good year 2020. However, the virus changed the plans completely, so probably we'll have to postpone our ambitious plans to next year, hoping that the situation will come to norm pretty soon.
Was the store rollout target for this year proportionally reduced among brands, or will be openings almost fully focused on Sinsay brand?
Already the plans that we announced in the beginning of the year were focusing mostly on the cheaper brands like Cropp, House and Sinsay, and this trend will continue towards the end of this year and then probably for the next year. So as we are perceiving that the market will move towards also cheaper offering, we think that the Sinsay brand will be the one which we will be developing the most.
What is the amount of LPP in Poland and other markets state aid?
Well, if we are talking about the state aids, we have main 2 factors. First one, these are rents vacation as we have in Poland, and second, the let's say additional payments that the governments are subsidizing to the salaries. So in total, we expect to have like 40 million relief in Poland due to the holidays in rent, and about 18 million Polish zloty monthly as a relief to the salaries across the countries. So in total, it's like 60 million zlotys monthly for the period when the stores are closed.
Considering the level of fixed cost, no rent for April, online sales support from the government, is it reasonable to assume that even in such a hard month, your operating result will be in the black?
Well, looking from our P&L perspective, definitely, as you are remembering, for the last year, our e-com sales, or the portion of e-com sales, was roughly around 11-12% of total. Even if we are boosting the e-com sales significantly, it can be probably not more than 30, maybe 40% of total as comparing to the last year. So it means that still the reduction in the cost, the reduction in salaries, the governmental help will not help us so much that we could achieve the profits in the let's say the lockup months. So we will have losses in March, April, and probably in May. We are hoping that once the stores are operating, we can get some profit, but definitely even with the help of the government and even with our cuts in different kind of costs, we cannot be profitable, unfortunately.
Base scenario for autumn-winter 2020 assume a price war on the market. In your opinion, is a possible price war on a scale comparable like 5 years ago?
Let's say reading the news, how vulnerable the retail business is and how many retailers are having trouble right now, it might be possible that just after the opening there'll be lots of promotion and lots of let's say pricing actions just to bring the customer to the store and to change the inventory into the cash. In our case, we don't want to be the part of this price war. Definitely, we would like to maintain or care. We would like to care about the gross margin. So for that reason, we will not be slashing or cutting the prices so much. We try to sell the goods in a wisely way. As I mentioned, probably some of these collections will be moved to the next months or even next year.
Of rents that are turnover based currently?
About are variable, like linked to the turnover. So we would like to change this and have more and more of this type of rent for the future.
What is your forecast of the company's net cash position at the end of 2020?
Well, I'm not able to answer this question as long as we don't know how long the stores will be closed. So for that reason, we do our best to keep the company solvent, to be still to maintain the, let's say, positive cash position. But since we have to pay for the costs, since we have to pay for all these goods that we are still purchasing, it's hard to answer this question. So, sorry.
How are you coping with account payables to your suppliers and reverse factoring programs? Are you planning some grace period for payment?
Well, we are using and we are paying at the moment all the invoices according to the initial schedule. We are paying back all the liabilities according to the initial terms. So at the moment we are not doing any changes here. Well, we have the talks to the banks in terms of trying to have some additional relief, especially for the time when the stores are closed. But the negotiations or the talks are not finished yet, so I cannot comment on that. But yes, we would like to have some relief also in the reverse factoring to improve our cash flow for the coming months.
How much working capital required for the whole of 2020 does your liquidity plan investigate? Is reverse factoring still available?
Well, yes, I mean, all the solutions that we've been using in the past are still we are using in presence. Of course, as we are cutting some of the orders for autumn-winter, we will need, let's say, less financing for in the second half of this year. Of course, we are adapting to the, let's say, lower sales or decrease in sales that we are having right now. So inventory is one thing, liabilities or the facilities are still working. We try to use this as much as we can. We like this solution. We hope it will also work for the future, but for the time being, probably the gap will be like negative. So definitely the liabilities towards the suppliers will be lower than the inventory levels. How long, how deep it will go, hard to answer. We think that in our, let's say, conservative scenario, it may mean that we need additional 800 million Polish zloty to cover the gap between inventory and the liabilities.
Okay. It seems we have run out of questions. So thank you very much for your attention and participation in our video conference. Please remember that you can always contact us by sending mails, and the recording of this conference will be available on our website.
Thank you for being with us, and we wish you all the best and stay healthy. Thank you very much.